I'm Kimberly Turner from cookingwithkimberly.com, and today I'm going to show you a beautiful Christmas cookie recipe. These are traditional in our household and we're switching them up just a little bit. These are our beautiful nut-free tiger nut Christmas thumbprint cookies. So you're wondering what the nut-free tiger nut. Now tiger nuts, if you've never used them before, aren't really nuts at all. They're little tubers that grow under the ground. This is what they look like. They grow like potatoes or carrots. Now this is, they kind of look like a wrinkly chickpea or a nasturtium node, and they are very tasty. Now they are vegetarian, they're vegan, they're organic, non-GMO. These are Whole30 raw food and paleo diet friendly. They're nut-free, gluten-free, and cholesterol-free. They have antibacterial properties. They are prebiotic. And they're just awesome. Anyway, so for people who are having a problem with nuts, who are allergic to nuts, or who have a celiac problem, this is the perfect alternative, especially over the holidays, because mostly everything over the holidays has flour in it, and that can be tough for people. So that's where the nut-free tiger nut cookies come from. So we're switching this up from all-purpose flour today to use a gorgeous Tiger Nuts flour. Now check out Tiger Nuts USA online at tigernutsusa.com for their flour and their whole tiger nuts and beautiful oil and things like that. And this is what the flour looks like. It's light and fluffy. You're probably wondering what the heck. It's much lighter and fluffier than, say, a cornmeal or something like that, or any other nut flour that I've used. It's nice and light and fluffy. It has a nice little sweetness to it. They kind of taste like coconut to me, in a way, mum too. They're dairy-free as well, by the way. They're, even though things go nice and kind of creamy with them, they are dairy-free. So that's what we're using. They just grind these beautiful little tubers up and make flour, okay? So let's get started. Okay, we're gonna start off, like many cookie recipes, by creaming up some butter. Now, you could use whatever you like here, but we use butter. What I'm substituting today is the flour and the actual nuts in this recipe with tiger nuts. So I'm gonna keep the butter just the same. That's half a cup of softened butter. You can use a mix master or you can use a hand mixer, no problem. So till it's light and fluffy, cream that butter. When you're creaming your butter and it's done being creamed, it will look a lot lighter in color and be a lot fluffier in texture. Now we've got a 1/4 cup of brown sugar that's going in, and that's going to be creamed into the butter. Now that's also going to kind of dissolve into the butter, so to speak, and it's going to become light and fluffy as well. Okay, 1 large egg. We've separated it into an egg yolk and an egg white. Keep the egg white for later. Beat in the egg yolk with the butter and the brown sugar mixture. All right, I have 1½ cups of tiger nut flour. I'm gonna add about half of that, stir it in, and then add the remaining half. On a lower speed so that you don't make a big flour cloud all over you. This is gonna be somewhat of a dry mixture, so don't worry. Now this is a recipe that's traditionally all nuts. Like you're gonna put pecans on the outside, lots of them. So this is creating a nut-free nutty cookie, which is awesome. And you still won't miss having that nut flavor or the nut texture, because I've crushed up some tiger nuts and the cookie is going to have that on the outside instead of pecans. So you got the best of all worlds here. Okay, so here's the texture. It's rather dry and it will compact well. Okay, so get that off the beaters. You don't want to waste any of this. That's just extra cookies. So now this dough needs to be refrigerated because it's very soft. We wanted to make sure that we really creamed everything well together, and you needed that butter to be really, really soft, okay? So now we need to harden this back up. So we're gonna just dump this out onto our work surface with just a tiny, tiny bit of bench flour being tiger nut flour. And we're just gonna form it into a ball. Push that all together. Put a little bit on your hands if you have to. So put some on your hands so that you can form this into a nice ball, which won't take much effort, okay? And you're gonna put this in the refrigerator in some plastic wrap. Make sure it's pushed together and all one nice ball. So here, a nice ball. It's a beautiful dough. It smells wonderful, it looks nice, it's a nice homogeneous mixture, and it's very tasty actually. This is my favorite time to eat the cookie, is when it's the dough. Anyway, there you go. A little bit of plastic wrap. It's got lots of butter in there. It's not gonna stick. Don't use too much bench flour when you are working with this dough either, because it's going to be harder for you to work with. And there it goes. Refrigerate, I don't know, till it's well chilled. I would say 30 minutes to an hour even. If you have longer than that, you could even do it the night before, okay? Or the morning of. And there you go, in it goes. All right, so I've got this dough that has been cooling in my refrigerator for at least an hour. I've been cooking other things. It's been a holiday celebration today. Okay, so we're going to use a work surface here with a little bit of bench flour, not a lot, just some so it doesn't all stick, right? I have this nice and firm now. That butter has re-solidified, and I'm going to cut this in half, and we're gonna roll each one of these into a 1-inch diameter cylinder. Okay, so just use your hands. If you need a little bit more bench flour, then put that over there. It should roll up pretty easily for you. It's very forgiving. You can push it back together if it comes apart. And this is more so just so that you can cut it into even pieces. So don't worry about the shape too much. Just roll it out. Okay, we're gonna cut this into roughly 12. So cut it in half. That's 6. Cut it in half again. And then cut each one into about an inch or so piece, okay? Just like that. If you need some, put a little bit of flour on your hands as well. Repeat with the other piece of dough. Roll that up. It works very well. It's a very nice dough. The longer you make it, the easier it is to estimate the sizes here. So cut that long cylinder in half, and in half again, and then cut each one of those into 3 pieces, even pieces. Okay, so this recipe is going to make 2 dozen cookies. Now that you have these little Tootsie Roll looking things, we're going to roll each one of these into a ball. Okay, so put some flour on your hands if you have to. Roll each one into a ball. I have a baking sheet prepared with a baking mat. You could also use parchment, or you could grease a cookie sheet. So I'm just gonna put them on there for right now, like that. Again, roll each one of these into a ball. Okay, so remember that egg white that we had set aside that we separated. Whisk that up till it's nice and light and fluffy, okay? Now, I have just over half a cup of the smashed tiger nuts. Now the tiger nuts, they don't smash well, just like this, okay? The food processor, they're just gonna move around. If you use a mallet, they're just gonna kind of squish. They don't actually crush. So what I've done is I've used a mezzaluna, or you can use a really sharp knife and just chop them up that way. And I have a nice fine chopped nut. There you go. So there we go. All right, so I've got 24 of these guys. We're gonna go 6 by 4. All we're gonna need is 1 baking sheet. These guys aren't gonna rise a whole lot. They'll spread slightly, but not a lot, okay? Okay, so I'm preheating the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit while I'm preparing this stuff here, okay? All right, next, what we're gonna do, now that we've got all of our little balls, we are going to just roll it, there's my oven, we're gonna roll it into the egg white. Then we're going to roll it in the tiger nuts, okay? And we're gonna slightly push them into that cookie, that ball, okay? And place on the lined baking sheet, okay? Rinse and repeat. Coat them generously. That's what you've got. Okay, I have prepared in a bowl just some raspberry jam. You can use your own or store-bought preserves. If you don't want to use raspberry, you can use another flavor, but this is traditionally raspberry that we use, and raspberry is my favorite, so there you go. Now, you can use your thumb if you have a small thumb. If you got a big thumb, use one of your fingers. If you have a problem with that, use the end of a really thick spoon, okay? And we're gonna create a divot in the middle to fill with the raspberry jam, okay? So push that down. That's a little bit too small. I'm gonna use my thumb, okay? If you kind of have to reform it around your divot, that's fine. But make a nice hole in the center to put a nice amount of jam. I'll show them to you in 1 second. These look just like my mama's. except hers with pecans. Here. So this is what you're looking at. A little divot, okay? If you can see that, put it up close, a little bit closer so you can see. There you go, a little divot in the middle, okay? Now repeat that on all of them. Okay, so essentially what you have are little cups for your jam, little reservoirs in each one, okay? So form them back. If they crack on the sides, it's okay. Just form them back. It's a very forgiving dough. And you can see all the nuts here. You can see how if someone had a nut allergy or a problem with nuts or didn't like nuts, kind of like me, that's why I never ate these when my mom made them, because she always did them with pecans. And I didn't like that. So this is awesome for people that don't really like nuts or can't eat nuts because they're allergic. So this is awesome for them. Now, raspberry jam's pretty sturdy. It's got all those beautiful seeds in there, so don't worry about filling these guys up. Use a teaspoon, fill up your little reservoirs, okay? It's a food of love. Okay, now they're all full. They are so pretty. They look like little jewels. They are very stunning on a holiday table as well. We're gonna bake on the middle rack at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for roughly 11 to 15 minutes or until these guys are golden brown. In they go. All right, it has been 15 minutes. These guys are done. They look absolutely glorious. It smells heavenly in this house. Look at them. Woohoo! So now, what to do? We're going to let these cool for a couple minutes before we even mess with them because they are a little bit soft still, only because they're hot as all heck. So leave them sit here for a couple minutes, and then you're gonna use a spatula, get them off, we'll put them on a cooling rack, and then finish these guys up. All right, so I have one more finishing touch here. We're gonna get this prepared so we're ready. Half a cup of icing sugar, and about 2.5 teaspoons of lemon juice. You may need just a little bit more, so just have your lemon on hand just in case. Take yourself a little spatula or whisk and whisk that through until there are no lumps or clumps. You're gonna get a nice thick kind of paste. I might need just a little bit more lemon juice. I have a little bit already reserved, just a splash. This is gonna make a beautiful glaze on top of your lovely raspberry jam. Okay, so this is the consistency you're looking for. You just want to make sure that there are no lumps and clumps. So it's thick, but still fluid, okay? Okay, so ever so gently remove them from the cookie sheet, and they have solidified nicely, just right, okay? I don't even need a spatula. They're nice and solidified. They're perfect. Okay. So while these are still warm, that's the key. Put your index finger in the icing sugar mixture with the lemon and just dab it on the raspberry jam. This is going to give you a nice glaze. So this glaze is going to give you a nice fresh flavor with the lemon and glaze that raspberry jam up. Nice. All right. They look fantastic. They're wonderful and they're ready. I can't wait to serve these guys up. All right, we've finished our dinner. We're ready for dessert. Don't they look absolutely glorious? They're a real showstopper with that red. They are very festive, okay? Mommy, I made you a tea.
Oh, thank you.
Would you like a Thumbprint cookie?
Oh, what a dessert. That will be, yes, thank you.
A nut-free tiger nut one?
Healthy one.
All right, here we go. What do you think, Mom?
Lovely, delicious.
Mmm.
I think that this is one of my favorites now.
Know what these taste like? My raspberry squares. And the raspberry squares are my favorite. The tiger nuts on there are awesome. They don't cover up the flavor like pecans do. I don't like them. This is awesome. They're crunchy on the outside with the nuts that you rolled them in, the tiger nuts. The raspberry jam, it brightened up with that lemon juice. It's awesome. They're crumbly. Moist on the inside. Mmm. Divine. Mmm. I really like these, Mommy. Mmm. That's fantastic. Mmm. The texture is fantastic.
I love it.
Mmm.
Good.
The tiger nuts on the outside, when they baked, they got all nice and toasted and crunchy. They are awesome. I love these. You're gonna love them too. So, a traditionally nutty dish no longer has nuts in it, and it's perfect for everybody. Just saying. All right, and it's gluten-free. These are gluten-free as well, nut-free and gluten-free. So that's how you bake them. That's how you bake nut-free, gluten-free, tiger nuts, Christmas thumbprint cookies. I could make these any time of year. So do you approve of them, Mom?
Absolutely, they're fantastic.
Good, because I used your recipe for thumbprint cookies. Yummy, mother approved. Make sure you check out tigernutsusa.com for this awesome flour and their awesome tiger nuts. They're absolute epiphany in the kitchen. That's it. Follow me on Twitter at Cooking with Kim E with a capital E. Like the fan page at facebook.com/Cooking with Kimberly. You can check me out on instagram.com/webchef of all trades. Find my shows online on youtube.com/Cooking with Kimberly and come to my website at cookingwithkimberly.com and subscribe. Interact with us and let us know what's going on in your culinary world, all right? Be a champion in your kitchen and eat deliciously. Bye. Those are awesome.
Really good.